where the Mobile, Spanish, Tensaw, Apalachee, and Blakely rivers flow into Mobile Bay, stands an incredible facility for outdoor recreation, conservation, and land stewardship in Alabama. 5 Rivers. The Resource Center lies on the opposite side of the Delta from Mobile, and Linda and I stopped in there on our way back from feeding the Gulf Food Bank.
5 Rivers is the very bottom of the state as to where all the water that runs through the state of Alabama ends up here in the 5 Rivers Delta, which is a 250,000 plus acre delta.
I understand that Alabama has the most fresh water of any state in the United States.
We certainly have our fair share of water that in lakes and streams, and certainly enough coming from the sky too, as this section of the country is one of the wettest parts of America.
And Mobile has the
highest percent. Mobile does have the highest percentage of rainfall in North America. The Delta is often referred to as America's Amazon or North America's Amazon. It has a wonderful variety of mammals and reptiles, probably the most amount of turtles in any one particular freshwater area, as well as your American alligator, which is a pretty dominant feature in the water these days.
How far out is it fresh? At some point it turns salty, right?
Correct. So it is tidal, is affected by the tides. So when salt water does come in from the Gulf, it does fill all the way up into the Delta in some levels of salinity, but mostly the bay, Mobile Bay, and the Delta is mostly brackish. So these rivers are reliant upon the ocean doing its job, and the food and Gulf seafood that you eat is reliant on the Delta doing its job. All your shrimp and your oysters, flounder, those are pretty tasty things that would require the Delta to exist for them to survive and thrive. Currently the Mobile-Tensaw Delta extends about 250,000 acres. It's protected in that it's wildlife managed by the state. It still allows folks to continue to fish and hunt within there.
Well, I understand that there's a real problem in Alabama with managing the fresh water, that even though it has so much fresh water, it's not always, managed that well. You were saying something about it's a push-pull between corporate interests and
conservationists, absolutely. So every once in a while you'll have companies that want to take advantage of the riverways and the waterways and lakes. Then you'll get pushback from the local community and also programs that the state has established that provide for protecting natural spaces in Alabama.
That's awesome. I couldn't leave the gift shop without buying myself a pair of handmade olive earrings of freshwater pearls by a local artist. We were starving, so we stopped into Felix's fish camp nearby for margaritas and smothered crawfish, and marveled at our sense of accomplishment, having shot clips for 6 videos in 3 days. Next morning, Linda's orchids greeted me, and the new cereus had bloomed in the night. I took another look at her balcony container garden, which includes flowers, herbs, succulents, and even a tomato plant. That morning, the white sand beach and azure blue ocean of Perdido Key astonished me. The weather changes quickly on the Gulf Coast, and clouds were building as we readied for our trip to Hillcrest Farm. As we were leaving Hillcrest, we were offered delicious homemade ice cream to cool us off as we said goodbye for now. Next stop, some seafood at an open-air cafe. As soon as we got back to the apartment, I headed down to the beach. Time stood still for an hour while I contemplated the next day's journey. But soon, Linda's homemade strawberry margaritas were calling my name. I'll be back.